think I was good. I got all way. Went back to work after 4.5 years of being statistically it's not productive for the company. The company actually saved money with the employees being at home. So why do we have to go back? And I'm gonna just read some articles and some videos because I'm very unhappy. Most of my co-workers are very unhappy and people are retiring, because they would rather be at home. And, I believe going back to work is to get rid of an aging workforce and even young people who don't want to work in the office. And it's an invisible pay cut, which is something I never even thought about because number one, you paying more in gas. Now I bring my lunch most days, but other than that, you're you spend the money on lunch, you know, gas, lunch, snacks, and all of that kind of stuff. I'm gonna get into big meat and all that, but returning back to the workforce, most people are not happy, including myself and my workforce. My thing is, if you want to go back in the office, then go. Have fun at it. But I would love to be at home. I was more productive. Plus I could get things done in the house, throw on some dinner, breakfast. I saved a lot of money where now I'm spending more money, you know? So I'm gonna go into some articles and some videos. And then I got some whole bunch. We're gonna talk about Big Meech and Diddy and all that because I'm gonna drop a few videos today because I gotta catch up. But now this is in the Washington Post. Return to work mandates are an invisible pay cut. Something that I didn't even know. Let me see if I could do these comments. Oh, okay. All right. As soon as I go live, it never fails. I ain't never seen that. And if anybody want to come up to discuss, let me put the link in. Now my son been quiet all day. Now there he go. Did I put the link in? Okay, here it go. All right. Now getting back to it. Anybody want to come up to discuss? So, return to work mandates are an invisible pay cut. They also might signal a weakening economy because a lot of people have been getting laid off if they work remotely. Now, that's a fact, and I'll get into that in a few minutes. Job growth rebounded in November, the labor reported Friday, but red flags were buried in that superficially gleeful report. Among them, a higher unemployment rate, declining labor force participation, and less telework. Yes, you heard that right. Declines in remote work and the recent proliferation of high profile firms ordering back to the office are a sign that the labor market is weaker than it might appear. That's because return to work office mandates are effectively an invisible pay cut. Blew me back. I wasn't even thinking like that. Like other employment benefits, health insurance, paid leave, telework is not available to everyone. Telework, only about 38% of full time workers report being hybrid high before. Come on, StreamYard. Come on, don't start of working arrangements, attitudes. These jobs are disproportionately in higher paid paid higher paid groups, and that's true. And they're considered white collar occupations. Most are. This amenity has real value to these workers. It sure does. I got a lot done at home and in the office by being at home. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, please. It saves them commuting time. I just said driving in that traffic is so damn depressing in the morning. If I'm not out by six, oh shoot. If I'm not, I done lost my damn thing. If I'm not out the house by 6:52, then it's stop and go all the way, which is horrible. And transit costs, I said that, lets them live farther away, right? Because when I lived downtown, I was 5 minutes from work, right? That was cool. Well, now I'm about a half an hour away from work, which is awful. And that traffic down 95, anybody knows 696 is awful in the morning, right? It offers other conveniences working at home, quiet working, less surveillance from bosses. That's the main thing. Less surveillance of bosses because they sure walk around to see what you're doing, okay? Some economists have qualified the value of these benefits. On average, Americans receive 10% of pay, $1,000 for a typical worker. Some workers, such as those in their 30s with kids with a university or with a university degree, value it even more at an equivalent of 15% of their pay, says Nick Bloom, a Stanford University economist. In other words, many workers effectively days employers anything. At least it didn't show on paper per se. But less obvious term costs. This adds harder. See, this is the thing. Made it harder to monitor. Come on, StreamYard. Some positive, some negative. And varies by sector and Zap work arrangements. But bosses and underlying definitely perceive definitely perceive remote work efforts on productivity. I have no idea what happened. This shit just went away. This is awful. Anyway, thank you. But employers have worried about less obvious long-term loss. This aggravated office makes it harder to monitor employees and mentor young. That's it, monitor employees. Academic research on how telework affects productivity is all over the place. Some negative, some positive, and varies by sector arrangements. But bosses and their underlings definitely perceive remote work effects on productivity differently. Concerned about these problems, employees have tried to revert to pre-pandemic attendance expectations. Yes, they have, and that's the problem. That is a fact. I'm going to read that again. Concerned about these problems, employees have tried to revert to pre-pandemic attendance expectations. That's the problem. They've often failed. That's a fact. Because we had a group of people, you can't make this up. That dog ain't said shit all day. I swear to God. You people that went on, you can't make this up. I swear to God. Dior! I'll start her. Okay. They've often failed going back. The original return to work office decisions were being made, after all, amid huge labor shortages when workers were in a catbird seat. Many firms had to loosen their in person demands as a way to sweeten compensation packages without having to spend much more on payroll. The labor market was so red hot that even employers who felt that fully remote work wasn't the best choice were often willing to offer fully remote work because they feared that they couldn't attract or retain employees otherwise. Federal Reserve Bank of New York President John Williams told me those labor shortages have mostly passed. Workers have lost bargaining power. Companies have not merely slowed hiring. Many are looking for ways to save money or downsize. And that's one way of bringing people back to work so they can retire. Historically, employers have been extremely reluctant to cut workers' monetary wages, but now they have a new margin on which to effectively cut workers' compensation, requiring them to commute more. Amazon made headlines recently when it told workers to come in 5 days per week, up from 3. I pray to God we stay at 3. I pray to God we stay at 3. For real. Its founder, Jeff Bezos, owns the Post, which also recently announced a return to mandate starting next year. Oh, God. Meanwhile, Dell ordered its sales staff to return to office 5 days per week with just 2 days' notice. Mm, mm, mm. And Citigroup announced hundreds of workers who have been eligible to work remotely had to commute full time. McKinsey is also revisiting its return to work requirements. These announcements have sometimes been interpreted as attempts at backdoor downsizing. I believe that. A way to reduce headcount without layoffs or costly severance packages. Return to work mandates are designed to increase profits after all. In fact, Department of Government Efficiency co-heads Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy explicitly said the government should implement a 5 day return to work mandate to encourage voluntary terminations. There it is. There it is. I got to get my mac and cheese out the oven. There it is. Oh, there you have it. Oh, this mac and cheese looks good. Oh my God. Oh my God, it looks good. Oh, wait, and it's gonna be good. Mm, mm, mm. Mm, mm, mm. My yams good too. My yams good too. Mm, mm. All right, let's get back at it. Companies have generally denied they're engaging in quiet firing, instead citing other money-making goals such as potential productivity gains. I can tell you, matter of fact, they are losing productivity if we return to work. Because number one, you talk to your co-worker when thing you're working. Nevertheless, a study in Nature found that going from 5 to 3 days in the office reduced. Oh, Nature found that going from 5 to 3, suggesting a reverse of the policy would increase resignations. Firms might end up losing their most valuable employees, or at least the ones with outside options. A new paper on the aftermath of return to office mandates at S&P 500 companies found that firms disproportionately lose their more skilled employees, senior employees, and female employees, even for the largest firms in the world, which usually are preferred employers by many job seekers. Return to work mandates lead to significant brain drain. Now, that is a fact. Leave a comment. Tell me what y'all think. Again, this shouldn't be surprising if the shift to more telework was effectively a pay hike. The reverse is effectively a pay cut. And this matters not only because workers are whining about it, but also because it might signal our run of strong economic growth is finally turning. That was a good article. That article was true. Now, here's another article out of MIT, because I'm only going to report from reputable sources. This is from MIT. Return to office mandates how to lose your best performers. Your organization's highest performing employees want executives to focus on outcomes and accountability, not office badge swipe. I couldn't agree more. Recent return to work mandates like at UPS and Boeing have a simple message: come back to the office 5 days a week. CEOs cite productivity as a core reason for these proclamations, even in the employee resistance. Many of simply trust that employees are as effective as possible when managers can't see them at their desks. So this is just a way of monitoring and tracking you, but I'm sure they see less productivity. But in the world of globally distributed teams, falling back on management through monitoring is falling back on the weakest form of management, and one because in my work they big on engagement, but as you see statistically, it dismantles employee engagement. There's mounting evidence that mandates don't improve financial performance. They damage employee engagement and increase Attrition, especially among high performing employees and particularly those with caregiving responsibilities. There is a better way forward, but it requires culture work at the top as well as deep within organizations along with significant philosophy. You can't make this up. You cannot make this up. Use FaceTime at the office as their metric for productivity. That's not the best benchmark for productivity. Instead of come on, StreamYard. Instead of focusing on outcomes while running about where and when to implement work. While the peak of remote work has passed for now, JP Morgan Chase, and more. Some CEOs talk about the solidarity that office workers need to have with frontline workers, although Gallup research shows that a strong majority of these frontline workers aren't bothered by office work stability, and that is a fact. I could care less. In fact, they want flexibility themselves, including a choice of which days to work, which day, yes, the option for 4 10-hour days, etc. In other words, equity, not no. In other words, not not equality. I'm so sick of StreamYard. Okay. Now we're gonna talk about Amazon, right? They started this. Amazon CEO Andy Jassy, and I had to send him an email, and he did reply about Amazon. But anyway, recently announced that he's abandoning the company's hybrid model and initiating a return to work office mandate 2025. Instead of 3 day in person schedule, workers are required to show up 5 days a week. The news immediately sparked controversy among employees who believe their productivity at work will suffer. As a result, many are considering leaving the company. A survey conducted by the Professional Social, what they want. That's what they want. A survey conducted by the Professional Social Network Blind reveals that a staggering 91% of workers are dissatisfied with the mandate, and 73% are searching for new jobs. Because I know I'm disgusted. I am not happy. In addition to Amazon's like Goldman Sachs, if y'all want to come up and share your experience, you can hit the link. In addition to Amazon, companies like Boeing, Goldman Sachs, UPS, Dell, and others are demanding that employees return to the office Monday through Friday. God, I hope we stay at 3 days, God. Please, God. Yet these mandates represent an outdated approach to management. Agreed. The 5-day work week originated with Henry Ford due to the factories. We should know that in 1926 and applied to manufacturing employees. Today's modern, the 5-day, let me see, today's modern workforce primarily comprise of knowledge workers, need and responses that options requires more flexible options. Yes, remote, hybrid, and on-site workers deserve to feel respected and heard. Facts. When companies dictate rather than collaborate, trust is eroded. Let's take a closer look at return to office mandate. Flexible work options benefit working parents, especially women who are disproportionately in charge of caregiving of children and aging parents. That is a fact. In fact, 58% of mothers with young children say that they would have to go work out. That's true. Now I'm froze. Now I'm froze. Come on, stream. Now I'm gonna go to Restream. I'm gonna try Restream. That's based on McKinsey Woman in Workplace report conducted in partnership with leanin.org. Not surprisingly, research by Upwork showed that 63% of C-suite leaders whose companies implemented return to office mandates say the policy had led to disproportionate number of women to quit. I believe that. In addition, more than half agree that the loss of female talent resulted in a serious decline in productivity. If you notice, but I guess you're going to go back to remote after you get rid of the people that you need to get rid of that can retire. In addition, more than half agree that the loss of female talent resulted in serious decline in productivity. Let me see. In addition to women, a Gartner survey revealed that millennials and high performers are the most likely to quit when companies enforce return to work mandates. Among high performing employees, their desire to stay dropped by 16%. And among millennials, the largest generation in the U.S. workforce, the intent to stay declined by 10%. Many companies use employee surveillance to ensure staff comply with return to work policies. For example, EY is tracking office attendance through turnstile access data. While badge systems were introduced as a security measure, employers like Google and Amazon they swipe your badge. They look to see how many times you swipe your badge. Wow. To log your whereabouts. I wish I would. What, you want to follow me to the bathroom? You want me to bring you some toilet paper to see what I did? Are you kidding me? Even TikTok unveiled an internal app called My Return to monitor time spent in the office. These mechanisms can come on, StreamYard. Mm. Let me shit. Maybe I better. Okay. Can track efficiency or productivity only attendance. Another downside by Harvard Business Review, electronic monitoring leads to a decline in performance. Yes, it does. When employers surveil employees, workers feel micromanaged. That's a fact, which leads to resentment and dissatisfaction. At a point, morale declines because trust is eroded. That is a fact. Research from Great Place to Work shows that return to work office mandates cause employees to disengage from work. That's a fact. It's a trend referred to as resentism. I do resent it, where people continue in roles even though they feel trapped. In a survey, more than 4,400 U.S. employees, those who can choose where they work are more likely to exceed expectations, maintain a productive managerial relationship, and enjoy the workplace. That is a fact. The study supports that where employees work isn't as predictive of success as much as whether they provide input into policy. In fact, productivity was lower for when employees mandate return to work. That is a fact. Finally, to work office policies don't improve financial performance or firm values, according to the University of Pittsburgh. Modern work is flexible. Work is no longer a perk for many individuals. It is a necessity. I agree. Where office policies shrink the talent pool by deterring candidates who require schedule flexibility and work life balance. The data speaks for itself. Return to office mandate lower engagement, morale, productivity, and retention, all without benefiting the bottom line. Instead of forcing employees back to the office, listen to what they want and need, then collaborate with them to find the best solution. Only then will you cultivate a culture of trust and respect that benefits everyone. I couldn't have said it no better. So here's a list of employees requiring you to go back to work. Amazon, AT&T is following suit and expect employees to be in the office 40 days a week starting in the new year. Sweet Green too said in December that it's upping support staff's in-person requirement for 2025, along with JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, the federal government now have also abandoned the hybrid attendance policy they adopted during the pandemic. Mm, mm, mm. Several executives and leaders have said they believe productivity increases when workers are in the office together, while others hope to increase in-person collaboration. Well, I just read studies show that doesn't happen, and who cares about hmm, collaboration with your coworkers? Let me see if I can find anything else because I let me see. Hmm. So they got a term called coffee badging that employees who are required to show up 3 days a week that they come in have a cup of coffee. They call it coffee badging, and they have long enough to grab coffee and meet with a colleague and then go home. Well, we don't have that option. That would be nice. I'll be coffee badging like a mug. You hear me? I'm trying to see if this article says anything different than I already said. Now, in the face of these trends, it is becoming increasingly clear that employers who cling to the idea of full scale return to office might be fighting a losing battle. Workers have demonstrated that they are willing to push back against rigid attendance rules, and the data shows they are succeeding in securing more flexibility. The year-over-year increase in remote and hybrid work signals that flexible work is here to stay. Companies that recognize this reality and adapt their policies accordingly will likely find themselves in a stronger position to attract and retain talent. I believe that. Believe that. Let me see. I got a lot of stuff. Um Remember, I started that series, Let the Prophet Speaks. You can't make this thing up, and then I think I'm going into Detroit Legends, Kingpin Legends. I think I'm gonna do that.
This is the part that is going to upset the people. Returning to the office. They're saying that Elon Musk is going to use returning back to the office in order to get some of these government workers fired. I'll tell you how. Check it out. The days of everyone heading into the same office to work 5 days a week came to a dramatic halt in 2020 as COVID shook the world. But this year, another shift has been happening for many organizations that have continued allowing employees to work remotely beyond the pandemic. Here come the in the city, no more working from home. Amazon is demanding its corporate employees return to the office 5 days a week, forcing employees to come back into the office. They're being ordered back to the office. This year's slew of return to office mandates have made headlines as some of the biggest companies, including Amazon and Walmart, have announced full 5-day-a-week returns to office for their workforces. And Elon Musk, a CEO known for railing against remote work, has shared plans to mandate a return to office for all U.S. federal employees once President-elect Trump takes office and post Department of Government Efficiency. Or retest that these mandates. In fact, the vast majority of executives we spoke to at last month's Fortune Global Forum said that a version of remote work was here to stay, the hybrid work model. I'm thinking it's going to be hybrid forever. I'm thinking the all in or the all out doesn't work. I think people get motivated by being with each other. I think they also have incredibly complex lives and they balance. The hybrid model brings in old ways. Workers spend their own money and time each day they head to an office, so remote days mitigate that burden while also making it easier for them to handle kids, appointments, and other responsibilities. Some companies are leaving the decision up to the employees. In our office space where people...
Okay, let me get out of that.
He's mandating return to office after many years fully remote. And people want to know why I'm so mad about it. Maybe it's because today I sat in a meeting for an hour while I listened to the CEO and senior executives brag about record growth, record sales, record everything. Meanwhile, in the past 4 years, we have only gotten raises for 2 of those years. Raises that do not keep up with inflation. I did a meeting with the CEO where he was working remotely from a hotel. I I'm expected for an hour a day to clickety-clacking that I can do right
Exactly.
here from my house. One of those senior executives bragged about all the traveling he's been able to do. Meanwhile, my family's barely scraping by. Return to office will cost me and my family over $13,000 a year. It's a pay cut. Continuing the work from home culture that we had for the entire company cost the company literally cost them $0, but it was
A lot of our way.
I'm just showing it.
It is something that is happening across social media.
We'll get to video.
A trend that is happening across. So, winter is coming. This is one of the things that I wanted to hit when I first did this in a minute.
No, okay, let me delete. That's not what I want.
Jazz telling employees that employees blasting the plan as a way to reduce headcount without announcing layoffs. Joining us right now is Joanne Littman, Yale University lecturer and author of That's What She Said, What Men and Women Are Working Together. We're also joined by Brian Elliott, Work Forward CEO. Good morning to both of you. I'm actually surprised not by the pushback. I'm surprised by this explanation that somehow folks feel that this is a way to fire more people. It may very well be, but the memo, as far as I understand, was super explicit about the idea that they were planning to take out middle management. So the whole goal, whether you think this is related or not, is take out middle management 3 days a week. I don't know if, and maybe those things are interconnected or not, but it almost doesn't matter. What do you say?
I agree. It almost doesn't matter. And the reason it doesn't is because what Amazon is doing is now being absolutely looked at by every other company to say,
God.
Can we do this too?
Oh,
Can
my
we bring
God.
back, people 5 days a week? And a lot of executives want, we have heard this every single fall. I've been here every single fall since 2020 with executives saying, now it's time. Now
I feel
everything's
a lot
going to
more
come
so. I
back.
mean, a lot of people are back genuinely now 3-4 days a week. So adding the fifth day doesn't seem totally.
Come
Adam
on,
Grant is out there
Springer.
quite publicly saying that when it comes to what he calls deep work might be an engineer who's coding by themselves periods of time to do the work, right? No, I'm a right. You have to do it. Clearly, being in one place together is better.
100%. And that's why I believe that this situation is where we're going to end up. The hybrid, 3 days a week, maybe 4 days a week. But you know, you want your that
flexibility like that work in a lot of different ways. You know, like companies like American Express, Airbnb, and NVIDIA that have all taken a much more flexible approach. And what they do is instead of saying, hey, here's a top-down command that says, no, that answer. That is, if your team is actually talking this through and figuring out what's the right pattern for us, you get better results. You get better engagement, you get better productivity.
Exactly. If you would have asked our opinion and let us, you know, pick our days of coming maybe twice a week or whatever, it would be better engagement. I agree with that. This is just terrible.
Stacker, Amazon just announced they want people to come back in the office, and we're seeing that employees that may really want to do it. Here's the question: more productive are you at home? And even
At home.
productive, it's really good for you to work at home and not have that channel, hit the bell to make sure you're notified when new things happen, and follow us for more videos like this one.
Those people, whether it's, like you and I both do together, their strategic coach, groups that belong to organizations. So I don't think it's unreasonable.
No, I don't like that video. So let me just, because I didn't watch these.
Study after study, working from home leads to more efficient workers, less staff turnover, quality work. It's for business and worker. Why back to the office?
The days of working for more now.
Of remote work. A peer-reviewed report from an unidentified NASDAQ listed company ran a trial where half of their call center workers was in the remaining office. They're from home. They struggle with high staff turnover. A follow-up study done on
So that's why one of the reasons why customer service staying at home. Wow. Okay.
a wider selection of roles, including finance, marketing, and software development, had similar results. They compared working time from this with staff working high schedules from home in the office. Workers were 8% more efficient and had turnover rates 35% lower than staff working. Their workers in the office will pay more for utilities like electricity, maintenance, security, and internet. That workers would have to put themselves. Interest rates are high. Investors are not throwing money around were in 2020, and companies need to make cuts. The business can cut expenses at the same rate as lost revenue, then it may be able to maintain profits to keep the shareholders happy. If a business is making less revenue, then it also means there's less work to do, so it just won't need as many staff. The problem is that laying off staff signals to the market that the company is struggling, which can affect the share price, make it harder to generate new business, and make it harder to hire new staff in the future. Nobody wants to work for a company that lays off a lot of people on a whim. And customers don't need is a way to get rid of staff without formally laying.
Here we go.
Leaders have already seen the studies, and they know that forcing people to work from the office leads to higher staff turnover, which in this case is exactly what.
But at some point, you've done, this is our policy, you have to return to work, with the idea that some employees may say, well, if that's the case, I just can't do this more.
Investment banks like JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs, which have seen declining revenue from less corporate deal activity, are forcing all of their staff to return to the office full time. Their official communications stress the importance of face-to-face interactions with clients and coworkers. Senior investment
That's what they said at my job.
Love to talk about how much harder they worked when they were analysts, accidentally said the quiet part out loud when journalists contacted them about their firm's decision to bring everybody back. A senior manager at Goldman declared of knowledge. Last time. Blinkist isn't for replacing reading. It's there to give you a quick overview of a book before you dive in.
To get rid of the workforce.
As we know, remote work was largely introduced to many companies during the COVID pandemic. Getting them back into the office has been a struggle that many probably hadn't thought about. ResumeBuilder.com did a study on the number of people. Tales with Dr. Dietrich von Biedenfeld at the Biedenfeld is staying home.
I think we have, and one of the challenges that employers are going to have is walking things back. It's tough to claw back things. You know, we say possession is 9/10 of the law. Somebody borrows some money from you want to get it back, right? And in the same sense, we are saying documents, we've got e-signature capabilities, we've got Zoom, WebEx, Skype. We have 100,000 different ways that we can communicate, collaborate. Work ethics have changed in the sense of how we prioritize things. The generational shifts in the workforce. Now, while the study that we saw looked at 18 to 24-year-olds not being as big a proponent of fully remote jobs as we might have anticipated, I like that.
I don't like that video.
It wasn't so long ago that the world went into lockdown. Millions of people lost their jobs, but for a lot of people who into the office. My direct manager was actually one of these employees. And since we used our own collaboration software to chat and do calls
I don't like that. Oh, this one is saying Dell lays off 12,500 employees and returns to office. Smart move, a big mistake. Wow.
Choose career growth or freedom to work from home. Recently, Dell laid off 12,500 employees, and a significant number of those affected were remote workers. This event has sparked a heated debate about the future of operations. This move is part of Dell's strategy to pivot towards AI, centralizing sales units, creating an AI-focused sales team. Dell has been to reduce the global headcount from 120,000 to under 100,000 employees.
Wow.
Transitions into a more highlight a deeper issue within Dell's ongoing conflict over remote work. During the pandemic, Dell was one of the many tech companies that fully embraced remote work. At one point, nearly half of Dell's US employees opted to work from home permanently. And this was seen as a progressive move where remote work was not just a temporary solution, but a long-term strategy. However, earlier this year, Dell introduced a controversial return to office policy. Hybrid workers were required to be on site for at least 39 days per quarter, or roughly 3 days a week. And this policy sparked significant backlash, as many stated that those who chose to remain fully a form of opted to just remain remote and not get access to moving up throughout the organization, which is really cool, by the way, for the vast majority of those employees to recognize that working from home was that important their mental well-being. Some quotes here benefited a lot from being if I don't have to. Another employee expressed concerns about the financial impact, stating, with the salary that we are receiving, a return to office would leave a huge hole in my particular budget. The situation at Dell is part of a larger trend we're seeing across the tech industry. Companies like
All right, StreamYard. Well, at the end of the day, going back to the office does not improve productivity. It does not improve attendance. It's actually going to make it worse. You should give the employees the option, and pick their days of when they would like to be in the office, maybe work out a schedule. State of Michigan got the best one. They go in the office every 6 weeks for a week. That's beautiful. All right, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. StreamYard was tripping. I think I'm going to go to Restream. I'm going to try them out. All right, I'll be back with another one. Have a good day. Happy holiday. I don't celebrate Christmas, so